into the details of the council, but then here in the studio we have Mr. Emil Toure. Emil Toure, of course, is the Executive Secretary of the Media Council of the Gambia, and myself, Mustafa Mbai. I am an executive member of the Media Council of the Gambia. Now, in the next hour, we will be discussing with you about the Media Council of the Gambia, its founding, its mandate and the functions, its achievements and its membership. We'll also be discussing about, of course, its representative. As you know, the Media Council is a self-regulatory body that regulates the media in the Gambia. So I would first of all allow by Emil Toure to say hello and introduce himself. Emil.
Good morning, viewers. I must state that I'm delighted to be associated with this activity or program.
Great. So, Emil, we're just going to start right away. The Media Council of the Gambia, of course, was established some few years ago. We would like you to talk to us about how the Media Council came about and what are its core mandate.
I think it's good to do a run-up or to state the factors that necessitated the formation of the Media Council of the Gambia. It could be recalled that the government of former President Jawara at some point in the 90s wanted to establish a press council. But then along the way, the government at the time had a disagreement with the GPU leaders at the time. And as a result, the process to establish the council collapsed. And since then, it was a foregone conclusion until the Jammeh government came in. It was a requirement of the 1997 Constitution for the state to establish a media commission. However, it was established by the Jammeh regime, but then the commission was given sweeping powers to deregister and to deregister news organizations, and for news organizations to apply for new registration. And there were also certain benchmarks as to who should be a journalist and who should be an editor. So the GPU leaders at the time, the council was also given, the commission rather was also given sweeping powers to close down news organizations and to also ban journalists from practicing. Journalists were also supposed to be licensed by the council at the time. So the GPU executive at the time held the view that the National Assembly went in excess of its power to promulgate or to enact a law which was inconsistent with the constitutional provision that stated that the government must or should establish a media commission. So what the GPU leaders did was to file a civil action against the Gambia government at the Supreme Court of the Gambia. While the Supreme Court was busy hearing arguments on the matter, the Gambia government, for reasons best known to read at the time, went to Parliament and decided to repeal the Media Commission Act. And as a result, the case could not continue. The case had to collapse because it would have tantamounted to an exercise in futility, or an academic exercise for the lawyers to proceed with the case. So they decided to later came up with more draconian legislations, enacting or amending certain provisions of the criminal code that widen the scope on certain provisions of the code, such as sedition, false publication and broadcasting, giving false information to a public servant, and so on and so forth. The GPU was given the task by the government to establish a media commission within, or media council within 6 months. After this one was disbanded. But then the GPU could not do so because the government did not give the GPU the time, okay. Yes, one would have said that a 6 months, a grace period of 6 months was given. But then the challenge the GPU was facing was in relation to the fact that the government was busy persecuting and prosecuting journalists before the courts. And in the process, the GPU could not mobilize resources, to establish a council. So it was only left with one option, and that was for it to respond to the action of the state by hiring lawyers here and there and mobilizing funds to not only build the capacity of journalists, but to also ensure that journalists charged to court were represented by lawyers. So following the collapse of the regime of President Jammeh, the GPU, in consultation with government and partners, decided to come up with a regulatory body. So this regulatory body is established by the GPU in consultation with government and partners. And this is why the board of the GPU consists of actors from different organizations.
Okay, so we will come to the composition of the council, but you've been president of the Gambia Press Union. You've led that union, and when you talk about the press union, of course, this is the association of all journalists working in the Gambia. So when in the Gambia you talked about media, people always see it as there for the press. So I would like you to clarify to the public whether the media council, we understand that it's not the same with the Gambia Press Union. There are fundamental differences. Could you talk to us about this?
Yeah, what people ought to understand is the fact that Section 25 of the Constitution is quite clear. What it states is that every person has a right to freedom of expression, including that of the media. It's saying every person has a right to freedom of expression, including that of the media. So it means every Gambian, or every person in the Gambia, let me put it that way, has a right, to express himself or herself, using any medium, including online and offline. That aside, I think it should be made abundantly clear that the GPU, yes, the GPU is the model of the Media Council of the Gambia. But what needs to be borne in mind is the fact that the GPU is a trade union, whereas the Media Council is a self-regulatory body. So in essence, what the GPU does is to fight for the welfare of its members and defend their rights to freedom of expression and media freedom. So if there are breaches of certain provisions of the Constitution, that guarantee the right to freedom of expression, the GPU is expected to raise its voice. This is what people should understand. Right? Whereas the Media Council is out there to ensure that journalists abide by the code of ethics drawn by the GPU in consultation with partners for media actors. I'm not saying journalists here because journalists would be very narrow. I would rather say media practitioners, and this includes radio and TV presenters, because you have some radio and TV presenters who are not necessarily journalists, but they're doing conducting interviews, they're interviewing artists, you know, be it performing artists or fine artists. They're conducting interviews. So in essence, they're doing part of the work that is done by journalists.
Okay, right. So we will come to the regulatory framework, but just to remind our viewers that you are on iAfrica TV live, and this is the talk show brought to you by the Media Council of the Gambia to talk about the council affairs and its functions and mandate. So in sense, you just heard from the Executive Secretary by Emile Toure explaining the difference between the Gambia Press Union. So Emile is saying, you're saying that the Gambia Press Union is representing its members, is a trade union, whilst the Media Council is here to represent all Gambians, journalists and non-journalists alike.
To add to that, I think what I also need to hammer home is that it is the journalists or media practitioners who elect GPU leaders. The GPU leaders are elected by journalists, while the media council's board members are drawn from different organizations.
That's where I was coming from.
Yeah, so that is a fundamental difference.
Yes. So we would like you to talk to us a little bit about the composition of the governing council of the media council, because now we understand very well that the media council is different from the GPU because it is not a trade union. A trade union represents the interests of its members. That's what the GPU is doing. So the media council is here to ensure that journalists has the environment to do their work, but also to do it in a way that they won't offend anyone, including all Gambians. Or if they do, the media council is going to take action against those journalists.
Yes, I think like I said, the GPU is a trade union. Registered under the Trade Union Act, now called the Labor Act. And the Media Council is registered under the Companies Act. So that is also another difference.
Right. So the composition now, who
yes.
are they composed of?
The board members of the Media Council are drawn from different organizations, including women and children organizations. They're also drawn from organizations like the Editors Forum, the Broadcasters Association of the Gambia, Publishers Association, Gambia Bar Association. That is the organization that has brought all lawyers under one umbrella in the Gambia. They're also drawn from the Gambia Chamber of Commerce,
the business community.
Yeah, the business community. You also have representatives who are also drawn from a government. A government is also represented at the level of the board of the Media Council, because the government is represented in the board by the Director of Information Services. The UTG is also represented.
Academic.
Yeah. So the Federation of the Disabled of the Gambia is also represented.
Okay.
So it's like I can safely say that the board members are drawn from all sectors of Gambian society.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Emile. I think it is very, very important, and it's also very clear for our viewers to understand that Emile, the Executive Secretary of the Media Council of the Gambia, is explaining that the composition of the Media Council left no group behind. So he's saying that the Media Council is represented by editors. Journalists in this country have a representative in the council. He's also saying that the council are represented by civil society organizations that are working for children. So they have a representative in the council. The legal fraternity, the Gambia Bar Association, has a representative. People with disabilities, the Gambia Federation for the Disabled, also have a representative, and also the business community. So in essence, all Gambians from all sectors of life are represented in the Media Council by a board member, which means each board member will ensure that in case a complaint comes from your group to the council will look into those complaints and address them.
Yes, I think this is just like what obtains in other jurisdictions like Ghana. Because what we need to bear in mind is the fact that journalists, the work of journalists affect people from different sectors. Because journalists write stories about children. They write stories about women. They write about stories about disabled people. They write stories affecting people in the business community. So this is why we are of the view that all these sectors need to be represented in the board. Because what we need to take into account is the fact that, like I said earlier, we're not defending rights of journalists, unlike the GPU. This is why it was felt that there is need to ensure that all sectors are represented, so that whenever issues affecting people in that sector comes into the GP or the Media Council for hearing, the issue could be judiciously dealt with. So this is principally the main reason why all sectors are represented in the board of the Media Council. If you go to the Ghana Media Council, too, is the same thing. You know,
the Kenya Media Council.
Yes, the same thing too. So because the work of journalists affect every member of society.
Right. Thank you very much, Emil. So shortly we will come to the operations of the Media Council, but let me just remind viewers that you are watching the Media Council talk show, Media Council of the Gambia talk show, here live on iAfrica TV, broadcasting from their center here in Welingara. So Emil, you talked about the founding of the Media Council by the Gambia Press Union in consultation with all partners, including government, to ensure that we establish a self-regulatory body. That means a body that is going to regulate itself. So the Media Council itself is regulating the media, is established by GPU to regulate the media, because, of course, Gambians would agree with me that there has been lots of fighting between the media and the government since pre-colonial time. So we feel that this fighting can't continue because it has impacted so much on the media practitioners in the Gambia. When government regulates the media anywhere in the world, it is always a problem because the media practitioners will pay the brunt. So now the Media Council have established, the Gambia Press Union in consultation with government has established the Media Council to regulate itself. Now let's come to the regulations. How is the Media Council operating? How are they going to ensure that the media will have the free environment to operate, but at the same time, to ensure that they don't offend any member of the public, or if they do unknowingly, measures will be taken appropriately?
Yeah, okay. Before I come to that, let me say that this program is brought to you courtesy of CAS. CAS is a German funding agency. What the Media Council does is to receive complaints from members of the public and look into the complaint and deal with it in accordance with its constitution. We have a constitution too. What we also do is to ensure that we investigate breaches of the Cherno Jallo Code of Ethics.
So you're saying that the work of the journalists should be entirely based on the Gambia Press Union Code of Ethics, which is the Cherno Jallo Charter of Ethics for Journalists?
Yes, yes. It should be, I think people should understand that, like other professions, journalists too need to be regulated. The Bar Association is being regulated by the General Legal Council. The nurses too are regulated, the doctors too are regulated. So there is need to regulate journalists because, yes, freedom of expression is a right. and everybody has a right to exercise his right to freedom of expression in accordance with the Constitution. But all these fundamental rights cannot be exercised out of a vacuum. Freedom of expression has its limits. It's not absolute. And this is why the GPU is of the view that there is need for her and her partners to establish a regulatory body to ensure that whoever practices journalism in this country act within the tenets of the principles of journalism. So you cannot call yourself a journalist and act outside the principles of journalism. When you do that, it means you have departed from the core principles of journalism. So what we do is we have, like I said, the GPU and stakeholders have adopted what is called the Cherno-Jallow Charter of Ethics. So what the council does is, one, the council can receive complaints from members of the public. And
through your office?
Yes, through the office of the executive secretary. When the complaint comes in, what we do is we have a form, a complainant form. When a complainant comes into the GP of the Media Council offices, what we do is we give you a complainant form where you indicate what you agree with. If, for instance, a journalist distorted your comment, or in fact defame you, or say something that you feel is in breach of the Cherno-Jallow Code of Ethics, what you do is you come, you will give you the form, you fill the complaint form, indicating what you agree with. Then you would also indicate on the form the prayers or reliefs you are seeking for. And then you would also indicate the date that the alleged violation took place. You know, the date, the publication, and the issue number, and so on and so forth, if it is a newspaper. So the same thing also goes for an online media, including television and so on and so forth. So what we do, we receive this complaint and call the defendant. If I say defendant, it means the person who is said to have done the violation or committed the violation. And when the defendant comes in, the defendant would be given a right to explain himself in line with the principles of natural hearing. Because every person should be heard. You know, if a person is being alleged to have committed something, he or she should be given the right or opportunity to defend himself.
Right. So let's clarify this point. So if I feel that I feel that in reporting an event that I was involved, this particular media or medium, or journalist have violated the ethics of the code, the Cherno-Jallow Code of Ethics for Journalists, and it has affected me. So I should come to your office to complain. Can I do it online?
You can do it online.
Great. That's the important point.
It can be done online and offline.
Okay.
What you need to do is just request for a form, and we give it to you.
Right.
And you fill.
So who hears the complaint? Like if I come and fill that form, or I fill it online and submit it to your office, who presides over that meeting that you're talking about, or that hearing that you?
Yes. We have what you call an ethics panel. You know, at the level of the hearing takes place at the level of ethics. They look into the matter. But usually if the office of the executive secretary is of the view that the complaint is inadmissible or lacks merit, then it wouldn't go to hearing level.
And who decides that?
The office of the executive secretary. There must be a prima facie to warrant a hearing.
That's going to be based on the code of ethics.
Based on the code of ethics. You know, for instance, if somebody comes with a complaint that has to do with a labor matter, and so we receive a complaint that dealt with a labor issue, but it was felt that it was inadmissible. So if a journalist has a complaint dealing with his welfare, he goes to the GPU. When he mistakenly brings that to the Media Council, it will be declared inadmissible. It means it cannot proceed to hearing level. So, but when it gets to hearing level, that's where the Media Council will look into the matter. And if the council is, the ethics panel is of the view that, that the journalist has breached the General General Code of Ethics, he or she would be asked to grant or to do a retraction, if that is one of the prayers the individual is, you know, if it's an apology, he or she would be asked to make an apology. If the individual is was requesting for him to be given the right to explain himself, then he or she would be ever given the opportunity to do so.
Right. Thank you very much. Ba Emile Toure is the Executive Secretary of the Media Council of the Gambia, and I am Mustafa Mbai. I'm also a member of the Media Council of the Gambia, bringing you this talk show live from iAfrica TV. Of course, the sponsors of this program, CAS is the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. It's a German foundation that supports media freedom across the world. So CAS is sponsoring this program. You heard it there from Emile. It's very clear that the media of the Gambia is no more regulated by the government. It's been regulated now by ourselves in the sense that a media council has been established since 2018, and the media council comprises of representatives from all sectors of Gambian life to ensure that the media is given space to operate, but also to ensure that in these operations, the media adhere to the code of ethics that is acceptable of international standard, but also tailored to ensure that it is in line with our local setting, that is the Gambia. So this is very good news, and Ba Emile is just explained to us that the council comprises of an executive secretary, that is his office, and also an ethics panel, and the governing council, where all members are, all sectors of society are represented. So, Emile, I would like us for you to talk us through some of the matters, the issues that the Media Council has resolved. Can you give us some 2 or 3 examples of the work the Media Council, the interventions that the Media Council has done, or the complaints that the Media Council has heard and addressed?
What else the Media Council does in terms of complaints. The Office of the Executive Secretary can also monitor newspapers or media content to see whether or not the publications are in tandem with the GPU or the General General Code of Ethics. If the Executive Secretary is of the view that a particular publication is in breach of the General General Code of Ethics, then the Office of the Executive Secretary would take it up with the ethics panel to make sure that the media organization or individual is called to the Office of the Media Council for the issue to be addressed. That aside, organizations that also have interest in certain matters are also at liberty to file in complaints. Organizations like the Child Protection Alliance or the Women Platform. These organizations that deal with, or the Gambia Chamber of Commerce as well, they can file in complaints on behalf of their members. if the Child Protection Alliance is of the view that a particular publication is in breach of the sections of the Cherry-Jallo Code of Ethics that deal with children issues, then they can file a complaint for the council to determine the matter. If you also have a particular section that deals with women, so the women platform or Think Human, is it Think Young Women?
Think Young Women.
Girls' Agenda, they also can file in complaint. If they are of the view that a particular complaint is in breach of this section or sections of the code dealing with women. So also goes for the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So it doesn't follow that one needs to be directly affected for him or her to file in the complaint. A member of the public also who is of the view that a particular journalist or media organization has departed from the principles of journalism, he or she can file in a complaint. Certain people are also at liberty to file in anonymous complaints. They don't necessarily need to state who they are. So if I say anonymous complaint, it means they can retain their anonymity and, file in a complaint. So, so these are the ways that a complaint could be filed. Regarding the cases we've dealt with, like I said, there was a particular case that was filed in by a journalist who was of the view that the media house that he was working for has violated the labor or has acted in a way that is in breach of the laws governing workers. So when the complaint comes in, the Office of the Executive Secretary and the ethics panel deem it inadmissible because these are matters that should be dealt with by the GPU in line with the Labor Act. If the GPU is of the view that that the matter should proceed to the Commissioner of Labor, then the GPU can work with the journalists and forward the matter to the Commissioner of Labor. There was also a complaint relating to a particular media house in the interrogatory election. The media house signed a contract with a particular organization. This organization was doing sensitization or having sensitization programs on one of these media houses. It was a radio station. So at some point, the editors or leaders of this media organization held the view that the way the campaign was, the way these people were doing their sensitization was unfavorable to one of the candidates. And they wanted to stop the program. But then this particular organization made it abundantly clear, in their complaint to the union that they would, if the, not the union, sorry, the media commission, that if the media commission failed to adjudicate on the matter, then they will file civil action against the particular media organization, because they should not be censored by the media organization because they have done nothing outside the perimeters, of the contract they signed with the media organization, or acted in a way that one can say is in breach of the Cherry-Jallo Charter of Ethics. So when this complaint came in, it was eventually resolved peacefully, and the organization continued to do its sensitization program.
So resolved peacefully, can you summarize how it was resolved so that they will understand the process? I know, just to summarize the steps that we are taking.
They, at the time I was not there, but they mediated. It was mediated by the...
So they invite the complainant and they invite the two parties and start with them.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, but
I know that's what is done.
If you have to do it now.
I'm not too sure, but
yes.
I know they mediated. And eventually it was resolved. And this, a particular medium, this particular organization that was doing this advocacy, it resumed its work. That was a fundamental achievement.
So in other words, they were heading to court, but
yes.
the Media Council resolved the matter and
yes.
everything went back to normal.
Yes. There was also somebody who filed a complaint regarding a particular media house owner. He held the view that he was being defamed by that media house owner. So eventually, he filled the form, and when the complaint came in, the defendant was called in, and the complaint was looked into. Before the media council could come up with a decision on the matter, the complainant felt that there was no need to continue with the matter because it has been resolved peacefully. So this is because that is one of the things that we encourage people to do, and that is one of the things that we also encourage media houses to do. What we want is media houses to have a self-regulatory mechanism in place, so that this is why we are currently working on seeing how best we can come up with a draft model editorial policy, which, because I can say 90% of the media houses in the country do not have editorial policies. So what we want to do is to come up with a draft model policy, so that when we draft a model editorial policy, so when we have this draft model editorial policy, what we intend to do is to give it to the media houses to see how best they can use it to craft it to suit their own purpose. Another case that we also adjudicated also involved the owner of an online platform who uploaded a content that one of the owners of the media facilities in the country was heading. One of the like I said, when the owner of this online platform uploaded this material, this particular doctor and his staff felt that they were wronged by this particular media practitioner, and so what they did was the administrator and their lawyer filing a complaint. So when the complaint came in, the media council called the media practitioner, and the content was brought down. So eventually there was mediation between the two parties, and eventually the media house was given opportunity by this particular doctor for him to be interviewed, and both
to broadcast.
Yes, because actually both content online, because initially what happened was he uploaded this content online without contacting the other side.
Thank you very much, by Emile Toure, the Executive Secretary of the Media Council of the Gambia, bringing you this talk show on iAfrica TV, sponsored by Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, which is a German foundation that supports media freedom. As you have heard by Emile explaining the formation of the Media Council, saying that it is a self-regulatory body that is established to regulate the media, in the Gambia, and it has a representative from all sectors of society. Baimil explained these steps to take in order to reach out to the Media Council, that there is a form that if you feel that a particular publication or broadcast or media content has violated the code of the ethics, Charojala ethics for journalists of the Gambia, you can always go online and fill that form and send it to the Media Council, or you visit their offices at Fajara allotment area, the GPU office, that's where they are housed, to file your complaint so that the Media Council will address it. In order to do away from the norms of going to court or going to the police and getting journalists arrested, all matters are now resolved amicably. Baimil, let's come to the Governing Council. You explained that the Governing Council is representative of all sectors of society. What is the role of the Governing Council in the Media Council of the Gambia?
The Governing Council is what it does is the Governing Council works in tandem with the Secretariat to raise funds and to come up with policies for the Media Council, to also ensure that funds generated by the Media Council are directed or used for the purpose for which they are meant for. They also hold regular meetings to hear developments taking place at the level of the council and to advise the secretariat, on policy matters. What it also does is it's also called the Governing Council also serves as the appeals chamber of the council. When the ethics committee already deals with a matter and the complainant or the defendant is dissatisfied with the findings of the council, any of them can file in an appeal for review of decision. So therein the Governing Council will look into the appeal to determine whether or not the matter was dealt with in line with the Charlo Code of Ethics by the Ethics Panel. So whoever is going to file in a complaint, he or she must or should do it within 14 days after the determination of the initial complaint by the Ethics Panel.
So that is based on the operational model of the Media Council, that they can only deal with cases that were filed maximum 14 days after the alleged code breach was.
No. This is in connection with a finding that has already been made by the Ethics Panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's different from the complaint.
It is for review of decisions.
Very good.
Yeah, that's why like I said earlier, this is why the Governing Council acts like an appeals chamber. Okay. If there's a breach of the Charojala Code of Ethics, whoever wants to file in a complaint must do it within 1 year after the commission of the alleged breach. After 1 year, it will become statute bar. It means the council cannot or would not be in a position to hear it because it is it would be deemed inadmissible because the constitutional provision of the council is quite clear. It has made it categorically clear that complaints can be filed only within 1 year after the alleged breach has been made.
Right. So let's clarify.
It is good to clarify this thing because one would say, why 1 year? It's only in civil proceedings or civil practice it is only in criminal matters that you can you can find complaints even 30, 40 years after. This is why if you observe those who were said to have committed genocide in Rwanda as still being tried in other parts of the world, or like those
Second
World War are still being tried. So that happened only in
right. So
criminal
essentially,
proceedings. But in civil proceedings, even within the laws of the Gambia, in land cases there is a time frame in which you can file. After that time frame, you cannot.
right.
Yeah.
So essentially, you are saying that the Media Council of the Gambia would hear cases that are filed 1 year.
Within 1 year.
Within 1 year.
Yes,
within 1 year
yes.
Of that particular violation of the code.
Yeah.
And also, when the ethics panel sit on a case and decided to come up with a verdict,
yeah.
the Media Council, one of the Media Council members, can appeal that verdict within 2 weeks.
Not
within 14 days.
Yeah, it's like one of the parties that is dissatisfied with the findings of the
can use panel. The media, can use the governing council.
Yes.
To appeal against the ethics. This is
just like at the High Court. You know, the High Court is magistrate court. If your magistrate courts.
If you are not satisfied with the ruling, you go to the High Court.
If you are dissatisfied with the High Court, you go
so
to
the Media Council also has that.
Yeah, the apex body is the governing body.
And the governing council are the representatives of all members of society.
Yes,
I think
yes,
this is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, by Emile Toure, for that clarification on how appeals, how cases are looked at, and how complaints are received, and also how the ethics panel sit on settled matters, and how the ethics panel's decisions can be looked into by the governing council. Now, let's talk about the Media Council. Of course, we know that this is a huge amount of task. What are some of the challenges that you are currently facing, that the Media Council faces? Of course, with this huge responsibility, we all know that they come up with challenges.
Yes, I think one of the challenges that we are grappling with at the moment is the fact that has to do with resources. When I say resources, it's like we're grappling with financial, human, and material resources. We have limited resources to do everything that we want to do, because as we speak, we want to do a conducted tour of the media houses in the country. This is to familiarize themselves, to familiarize ourselves with the media organizations, and to make sure we educate them on the General Code of Ethics, as well as the role and functions of the Media Council. We also want to come up, like I said, with an editorial policy, which could be adopted, a model draft editorial policy which could be adopted by media organizations to suit their purpose. We also want to build the capacity of journalists, because what we want to do in the long run, or in the midterm, I wouldn't say short term, in the midterm, is to and so we accredit journalists. If I say accredited journalists, I mean to work with the state to ensure that we issue accreditation, so that the accreditation issued by the Media Council would be the one that will be recognized by the state. This is profoundly important for the fact that it is to ensure that people who have the card are in full compliance with the Charter of Ethics. Because what we've witnessed recently is really disheartening. You have some organizations that are covering these court cases, these high-profile cases. The case of Bob Keita, is it Sable Mumbai? These two high-profile cases. We have a situation where people who have never covered the cause or have never had interest in the cause have suddenly developed interest in court reporting.
Yeah.
We are not saying that people shouldn't report from the court. People have a right to have access to information and to disseminate that information. But we are of the view that journalists should not aid and abet impersonation. We got a report, and it was really disheartening, that some of the journalists gave their press jackets to private individuals who wanted to have access to court proceedings. And this was discovered by the Gambia Police Force personnel who were on the ground. And this was a great deal. This has caused a great deal of embarrassment to the media fraternity.
That's disgusting, Emil. We have completely run out of time, but that last point is very disgusting, that professional media who are provided with the tools that they need to do their work are using those tools to give it to people who are not trained as journalists. And we hope this will be the first and last. But Emil, we have completely run out of time. In this hour of the Media Council of the Gambia on iAfrica TV, where the Executive Secretary have been explaining about the formation of the Media Council, its composition, and its roles and responsibilities. As a civilized society, we need regulations. And now Gambians have decided that the media will not be regulated by the government. Instead, it will be regulated by us, and we have established this council. So please, let's work with the council to ensure that all matters relating to media and media work, media violations are reported to the council, so that the council will mediate and address the matter without any fight. On behalf of the Media Council of the Gambia, we would like to thank Conrad Adenauer Stiftung, CAS, of the German Federation, of course, for sponsoring this program. Until we come your way next time, this is the Media Council of the Gambia saying goodbye. Or if you have a last word, Emil.
Yeah, my last word is to members of the public. I wish to seize this opportunity to encourage people who are aggrieved with any publication affecting them or affecting anybody close to them to walk into the office of the Media Council of the Gambia and file a complaint.
Right.
What people need to understand is that civil litigation takes time and it's expensive. You need to hire a lawyer. So to save your energy and resources, you can come into the Media Council and file a complaint.
Thank you, Emil, and we thank iAfrica TV for giving us this platform to come face-to-face with Gambians and talk to them about the Media Council. Until we come your way next time, this is Mustafa Mbai and Emil Toure saying goodbye.